What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
Vover. What's going on, Vover Pop? It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's time for another edition of Regular Thoughts with Regular Scott. I am your host, Regular Scott, and this week we are going to talk a little bit about the Suicide Squad movie that just came out. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. We're also going to talk about James Gunn and his quote saying, movies are made iconic from TV and from rewatching, not from just being released in theater. And also the AMC Warner Media deal that just came out. We got a lot to get to. It's going to be a packed show. Let's get right to things. Let's start with the Suicide Squad. I really enjoyed that movie. Fantastic movie. Just leaps and bounds, and you can quantify it, or multiply it so many times better than the first one. Just a fantastic entry, not only into the DC landscape, but into the comic book movie landscape. It's easily one of the top 5, probably top 3 DCEU movies ever released. I think it's a fantastic movie, man. I'm really high on Guardians of the Galaxy, and this was that with its own flavor, with its own taste. But what I mean by that is this was a strong ensemble piece where you got a connection with every character. And what made it special with Suicide Squad is, going in at any point in time, any of these characters could die. So this connection that you're building with each of these characters, the longer they last in the movie, it makes it all the more heartbreaking when the inevitable happens, and it happens to just about all the characters. So it's a very interesting and cool and kind of heartbreaking dynamic that James Gunn pulls off in this movie. Whereas Guardians, you get the full, we're family, we're doing this together and we survive together, and, you get the happy ending. This is Suicide Squad. It's in the name. A couple noticeable things from the movie. I thought Idris Elba was fantastic. Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag. This was the Rick Flag we should have got in the first Suicide Squad. He was really good. I don't think he's getting enough love for how good of a job he did and how different of a character this felt. This Rick Flag character, it felt very different from the generic, just basic army guy we got in the first Suicide Squad. So I really enjoyed that aspect as far as that character development there. Everyone is raving, and rightly so, about John Cena. He's fantastic. He is really taking over, man. Just putting on really good roles. Like, he's got the Peacemaker TV show coming out. John Cena in the superhero world is really happening, but who would have guessed 5 years ago that he'd be the Peacemaker? It's an interesting concept. It fits John too, because he seems like the guy that would do whatever it takes to get the job done. And let's just say Peacemaker will do whatever it takes to get the job done, and including eating whatever is laying around on islands like dicks or whatever it was. Peacemaker's a funny guy. But fantastic movie. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. Great movie. Go see it in theaters. I watched it on HBO Max, but I'm gonna go see it in theaters. It's a really, really strong movie. Man, I think it's easily got to be top 3 in the DCEU right now. I think you can make the argument it's one of the best comic book movies in the last few years. It's really good. Opinions will vary. I've seen some people say they hated it. Some people say it's the best comic book movie ever. And I've sat on it for a little bit, and obviously with time and different things, we'll see how I feel. But as of right now, I think it's a fantastic entry into not only the DC universe, but the comic book movie universe as well. James Gunn, while we're on the Suicide Squad movie, had a quote that he said that I thought was very interesting. I wanted to bring up on the show. James Gunn argues that movies don't last because they're seen on the big screen. Movies last because they're seen on television. Jaws isn't still a classic because people are watching it in theaters. That's a quote. I found this on Discussing Film on their Twitter at Discussing Film. And I think that quote is very appropriate for right now. And I think it's also spot on because, you know, I and I'm sure a lot of people, and especially the younger generation guys, people younger than me, guys and girls younger than me, they didn't see Jaws in theaters. You know, they're seeing it through streaming and on TV and whatnot. So there is the uproar about the movie industry taking a hit, and rightfully so, and they will take a hit, but that's not where the legacies are made. You know, you can definitely get some crowning achievements, and you want to make your money, no doubt. But I agree with him as far as, you know, the iconic movies are made iconic and become these classics and become these all-time movies is through rewatching, and that's where streaming comes in. Long as you're getting broke off like you should be to get that movie on there, I think that's really where your legacy is made. And James Gunn's spot on. You know, they talk about the box office that was brought in. I think it's going to bring in about 25 to 30 million. So we'll just be in the middle, about 28 million for opening weekend, 72 million, I believe, worldwide. You got to take into account HBO Max, same day releases. I don't think that's bad. It's an R-rated movie, so you're already alienating a part of your fan base right there. But they know that going in, and I think they're going to get that back through the streaming by seeing how well it's received, and subscription gains and stuff like that. I'm sure all of that goes into account when you're looking at movies nowadays instead of just the box office, because there's no way that you can look at it the same way as you did, 5 years ago as far as just what the numbers are. But back to the quote, I just really love that, because as we head more into streaming and same day releases on a streaming service, and streaming services fighting for IPs and fighting for directors and producers, and just fighting for any and everything when it comes to the industry, I think this is something that people really need to keep in mind. This is how movies are going to live on as all-time movies, is through these streaming services, because Blu-rays and DVDs are going away. Those are going to be collector's items. Nobody's really going to watch those. So I just think it's a very telling and very spot-on quote, that just because you're not a cult classic in the movies, or you don't make that big splash on the movie theaters, it doesn't mean that you can't become a cult classic or become that movie that people start talking about that didn't get the recognition that it probably should have in theaters. And those end up being the movies that people are like, yeah, we want to see more of this. We maybe want to expand in this universe. So love the quote right there. And speaking about movies and same day releases, AMC has agreed to a deal with Warner Media as far as releases. And this is from comicbooknews.com. In December of 2020, Warner Media made a surprising reveal that its entire 2021 theatrical slate would debut in theaters and stream on HBO Max at no additional cost. Now, as we all know, the AMC people were not happy about that. Well, now there has been a new deal. The AMC CEO, Adam Aron, has revealed that an agreement for a 45-day exclusive theatrical window for all Warner Brothers 2022 feature films. So there will be 45 days where it will be just in theaters right off the bat. So they'll be able to get that initial huge box office push. And obviously it'll just be for Warner Brother movies, and it'll be AMC exclusive. So that's big for AMC as well. If you got some AMC stock, hold on to that, because that's going to be big in the next year. And so during 2022, some of the movies that are coming out. We have Matt Reeves' Batman, the Batman, that will be coming out. Super Pets, May 20th, DC League of Super Pets. There's an Elvis movie on June the 3rd, an Untitled Fantastic Beasts 3 on July 15th, Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam on June 29th, Ezra Miller's Flash movie on November 4th, and Jason Momoa's Aquaman sequel, The Lost Kingdom on December 16th. So 2022, especially that, back half, we're looking at a lot going on as far as movies go. There's a pretty good amount going on there. You've got, like I said, you got the Black Adam movie 29th, Ezra, The Flash November 4th, Aquaman December 16th. So that's a good opportunity for the box office and specifically AMC and Warner Bros. To really profit off of that, having that exclusive rights right there. This is big. This is big for the theaters. This is big for those movies in particular. I bet you people who are releasing movies this year are pissed, like Dune. I know that was a big movie that was talked about as far as wanting something like this. I wonder how Mortal Kombat would have done with a 45-day release window, because we know how big it was streaming and how popular it was when it first came out. I do wonder how big of an impact that was. I wonder what 45 days of a free theater would have did for it. Obviously, things are more opened up now, but it still made a decent amount with that. So this is really big for theater, or AMC theaters specifically. We're going to get through the rest of this year, but 2022 should be a very profitable year for AMC, for movies, hopefully, as long as people get smart, do what they're supposed to do, and not act foolish. But that's a whole different conversation for another day. But hey, man, we did it. We knocked it out. Suicide Squad was fantastic. James Gunn hits it on the head by saying movies become classics by being rewatchable and not being too focused on the theaters. And speaking of theaters, AMC is trying to bring it back. They got a 45-day window for exclusive movies to be released from Warner Brothers. Hey, a lot of news. We got through it. You can find me on Twitter at knee4MarvelVsDC. That's the number 4. You can also find me on the Vover app at Regular Scott. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, give me your thoughts. Give me your feedback. I want to hear it. Make sure you like and subscribe this podcast and all the other Vover podcasts, from the Vover Pop, Vover Sports, Vover Eats, all those different shows. They all do a great job. We're all grinding out here for you guys, man. We love what we do. And as always, y'all have a good time, because we're going to have a good time. Until we talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Vover.